Hello, Theology 2 classmates. I'm going to be talking about my research. My question was, what does eternal punishment imply? And what should one do if the Bible supports both the classical and annihilationist viewpoints on hell? After much research, my thesis ended up being eternal punishment implies the unending suffering of those who reject God's salvation. After researching, I have found that only the classical view is supported biblically. So just to give you some understanding of what the annihilationists believe, in case you don't know, they believe that immortality is something that belongs to God, not human beings. So they believe it's a gift from God for those who have chosen to follow him. And they believe that the wicked shall be no more. So those who go against God's salvation will definitely, they believe, be punished eternally, but they don't believe that they will have to endure the punishment eternally. Instead, this view believes that the wicked will be destroyed permanently. While the classical view, which is held by most evangelical Christians today, is a view that states the wicked will be tormented unendingly. Both of these viewpoints picked Bible passages that actually were the same to support their viewpoints, so I dug a little deeper into that. One passage that they used was Isaiah 66:24. In Isaiah 66, Isaiah has a vision that shows the fate of the wicked. He refers to undying worms eating the dead body and an unquenchable fire. The annihilationists believe that this verse is saying that once the wicked are destroyed by fire or by worm, they are forever and eternally destroyed and will be no more. But the classical viewpoints digs a little deeper by talking about what this meant during Old Testament times. During Old Testament times, a dead body that was left to rot above ground was a horrible disgrace to the deceased. This body would either be eaten by worms or maggots or would be burnt to ashes with fire. So during these times, the maggots or the fire would consume the entire body. But in Isaiah's prophecy, the worms and the fire will never die. The classical viewpoint, shows that the worm will never die and the fire will never go out, therefore implying unending suffering upon the person who has rebelled against God. Another verse that I looked deeper into was Revelation 14:9-11. It says, "Then a third angel followed them, shouting, 'Anyone who worships the beast and his statue, or who accepts his mark on the forehead or on the hand, must drink the wine of God's anger. It has been poured full strength into God's cup of wrath, and they will be tormented with fire and burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. The smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever, and they will have no relief, day or night.'" The annihilationists believe that the smoke of their torment is referring to the aftermath of their pain and suffering. And they argue saying that the torment itself will not go on for forever. The classical viewpoint argues back, quoting Revelation 20, which says, "Then the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the fiery lake of burning sulfur, joining the beast and the false prophet. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever." So Boyd is the author of Across the Spectrum. He says that the torture that makes the eternal smoke rise is what will also last forever. Fire and smoke are often signs of destruction. When wood is used to start a fire, the fire causes smoke to rise. The Bible uses a lot of fire terminology when referring to hell. This fire language continues on into Revelation 20, which supports the classical view. Without a fire, you cannot have smoke. Therefore, the punishment that the wicked will endure will last forever. So many people do not support the classical viewpoint because it makes God out to be a cruel tormentor. However, this is a misperception. God never forces his creation to love him. Therefore, he is allowing them to choose their own eternal destiny, giving them nudges along the way. In John 3:19, he says, "This is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and people love darkness rather than light." And so If we have sought after God and received his salvation, then we will enter into eternity with God. However, if we have sought after what it is that serves ourselves, then we will enter into an eternity with all the things in this life that are self-serving and will never be satisfied. God is not a God of cruelty, but is a God of love, justice, and power. God never desires that his creation enters into eternal damnation. Nonetheless, he gives his creation free will. So that's my conclusion. I hope all of that makes sense.